Hey there, YouTube. Let's get right into these stock charts. Give me a thumbs up if you find value in the content that I'm putting out. And I guess give me a thumbs down if you don't find any value, but you're just entertained. Let's go right in. We're going to start out with the triple Qs. And, today is slightly up, but we're getting a little bit of selling pressure after we had a little bit of a ramp up early this morning. Here's what I got. Basically potential bearish rising wedge, but it's just a potential because the top, we only have two reactions. You need three to make a trend line, so we only have two. But the bottom trend line right here, lots of reactions along this. So to wait for the, for the sure trade, I guess, or the higher probability short trade, you'd want to see a break of this. But I think we're going to probably come back down and do another test of this. Look at the NQs. This is futures. You can see today they ran it right up into resistance. It's hit this twice right here, right around this 11,273. Ran it right up and getting rejected there. So we'll see if that continues to hold and reject. So far, it's pretty impulsive of a rejection. It's just coming right off of it. So, that tells me Qs is probably going to come down and tag this. Every time we're down in this area of the support line, you have a higher probability down there that you're going to break it. Now the buyers continue to step in down there, but this rally is getting pretty long in the tooth. And if you look at the daily chart here, big clean negative divergences right here in the PPO and the RSI, signaling that the momentum just continues to fade. So that's why I'm not really interested in buying at support this late in the rally. I think that now is the opportunity to start looking for the breakdowns, looking for the areas to short at. Of course, I continue to be longer term bearish, and I'll go ahead and recover that for anybody who's new. This is why. Here's your S&P 500 weekly chart. So this goes all the way back to 2009. And we have this trend line that was established on the weekly. I have it marked out here in green. You can see 2009 lows. And then as I roll up, you can see all the weekly tags of the bull market trend line that we were in for 10 years or so. Now, in 2018, we broke. And this is when I started the channel. So everybody who's been following me on the channel, I've been bearish really ever since then because we broke the support line right here in 2018. 2019 was a rally, Fed-induced rally basically. Then we got the big sell-off. Now we got the big sell-off obviously because of the pandemic that took place was the catalyst, but technically the charts were set up to reject right here at resistance. So you can see we broke that trend line, and all of 2019 was just running up to do this full back test right here of the trend line. And right when it back tested, all of a sudden the pandemic shows up. And I'm a firm believer that if it wasn't the pandemic, it would have been weak earnings, or the market would have said, oh, earnings are falling, we're going into an earnings recession, and it would have done this regardless. Maybe not as steeply, but I think it still would have worked its way lower over time on some news event because it was priced into the chart. Now, it happened to be the pandemic, and it sold off very aggressively. So then we got the Fed stepped in pretty quickly and pretty aggressively, and we get the kickback of V-bottom rally, basically. But we're still below the bull market. So what does that mean? Well, to me, this looks like topping at price action. Volatility, lots of volatility over the larger time frame. You didn't see any of this kind of volatility, really, the entire bull market. And then we start to get just big moves down, big moves up. It shows that something's changing. And this is when you see volatility. When the trend is changing, that's when volatility shows up. So to me, it looks like a big topping pattern. We're below the bull market trend line. And we are, to me, this looks like a bear market rally. Looks like we broke the trend here, started the bear market. We really started the bear market back here, narrowly avoided it, I guess. Then you get the kickback rally, broke it again, kickback rally. I suspect at some point we're going to start to work our way lower. Now, I don't think we're going to just fall off a cliff like we did right here. I think we'll probably work our way lower over time, and then eventually you'll get the realization that we're in a bear market, and then you'll fall off the cliff. But it's not going to happen right off the bat like it did right here. At least I don't think. Okay, so that's the bigger picture. That's one of the reasons why I'm longer term bullish, because technically I see it right there in the charts. Now let's narrow back into the S&P 500. So here's what we got going on in the S&P 500. The one thing is, if I come off the lows right here, you can see that we have this uptrend line. We broke that right here in the S&P 500. Here's the break, and this has all been backtest. We then, as I narrow it in even closer, we made this bearish rising wedge. We broke, backtest, kind of going sideways. Looks like it wants to roll over, but hasn't happened yet. So just waiting for that. But again, I think it all comes down to the Qs. The Qs breaking this trend line right here sets in motion the next trend, the next swing trend. Until we get that, there's just, you're still above support. So I think that's important to watch. Okay, now let's look at some trade ideas. Zoom, I pointed out in a community post this morning, we were back testing. So here's what I pointed out. Here is your uptrend line going back since January. I've shown this in the last several videos. So if you have this marked out, you saw it before my post. But here's your breakdown. So that was your sell signal. Here's your kickback rally. I talked about what I did. How I traded this is we got the breakdown. I shorted it. It came down to the first support here. I took off half my position and I was looking to add back that half on a back test. Here's your back test. I added back the half. And now I have a full short position with a better price entry and have already locked in some profit on that first initial trade. So looking for this to continue to roll over now. Could chop around a little bit, consolidate sideways. I just don't expect it to, and it could even backtest again. I mean, this thing can backtest again. So we have to watch for that. But, I do think it probably rolls over. Here's Netflix. You can see in general, this chart is just a bearish chart. You've got an uptrend here, blow off top right up here, and then you broke and backtested twice. So here's a backtest, here's a backtest. I'm seeing a lot of backtesting in this market. It seems like every time some sort of uptrend is broken, it always comes with at least a backtest. It doesn't want to just roll over instantly. It always wants to backtest. I'm seeing that across the board in most of the charts. So, that's with Zoom, that's why I kind of expected a backtest. So as of right now, I'm just continuing to kind of expect backtests when charts break their uptrend. But, in Netflix, done with the two backtests, now it's starting to roll over. Here's a little kickback here, but looks like a dead cat bounce. Looks like it wants to continue to roll. PayPal, just grinding along support right here. You can see the uptrend from the March lows come up, grinding along support. Again, I don't think it's going to break intraday. I think it's going to come in the form of a gap down. Adobe, kickback rally today, rolling over again. We just continue to kind of coil. You can see it just coiling in between here. So I think at this point, I think this was the high right here. This kickback rally rejected, going to come back down to the support line and then break, probably in the form of a gap down. Look at DraftKings. DraftKings has this downtrend line that it's had. You can see several reactions on the hourly chart, and they just recently broke it right here. Could be a false breakout. As of right now, it is a breakout, so just got to watch that. I'm not going to trade this to the long side because I think to me it looks like tech's going to roll over. So I'm not really interested in going long this kind of stock, which is a tech stock basically. Okay, here's the tech sector. The FANGs are all above support, and so go back and watch my last video. They're all above their support. I call out those support lines. But here's XLK, and you can see here, maybe my trend line's off slightly, but basically, and I've been looking at this, I could adjust it maybe down to here, I could have it here. I find a lot of reactions along this trend line, so I've left it here. But you can see we broke down. This could have been a back test, kind of a false back test, and now we're rolling over. A little too early to tell on the hourly chart, but look at the daily. Maybe the daily, this was a back test, and now we're rejecting. Starting to look like a doji right there. The day's not over. But, we got 2 hours left. But if we close below support and it creates that doji, then that sets us up for a confirmation candle. So look for that. Doesn't mean it'll play out, but if it does and you get that doji and close below support, tomorrow could be a big sell day or a gap down or something like that. This one still, KHC, still continues to look bullish to me. It's a kind of a staple consumer staple stock, ketchup and mac and cheese. So, it's a safety play basically, but you can see here on the daily, we continue to kind of work ourselves within this range here. And the range that I see is this gap entry is sitting there at 35, it's about 36. And then gap fill, you've got a price level here at 42 and another one there at 47, about 48. And so I continue to see this kind of consolidating right before this gap entry. To me, it looks like it's just building energy and we're going to get a move, kind of an impulsive break into the gap. And if that happens, we'll probably fill the gap and start to hit these price targets. So looks bullish to me still. Bullish divergence right here. So, well, it's not really diverging, but it is bullish. You know, it's just momentum is continuing to move up. Okay, that's all I really got. I'm going to put the video out. Thanks for following along. Catch you on the next one.